Gods of Pandaria Remix. Who are those people? How did they get there? And can you be one of them? Welcome back to the channel, my friends. I'm Gyro, and today is an interesting topic. You know what I'm talking about. It's those crazy-looking people who knows how exactly they became so powerful, but they're the ones who you see primarily when you're joining raids in Mists of Pandaria Remix right now, and you see them charging ahead, one-shotting or two-shotting the bosses, leaving everyone else in the shameful dust of DPS meters. Well, my friends, today at first I thought that I'm gonna do it as kind of build showcase, but it's far from being just about the build of those people. So I thought instead I'm gonna do a bit of an educational expose and a bit of an overview using a couple of most recent examples from last night, really, when I was running more of LFR raid and saw those Terminators or gods running through and demolishing everything in their way. So I thought I'll summarize for you exactly what makes them so special, and can you be one of them? Well, I would dare say yes. If you'd say, Gyro, to start with, we don't have enough time to become so powerful as they are, yes you do. Yes you do. At the moment of recording of this video, there are still 66 days remaining in Mists of Pandaria Remix. That's plenty of time. With sufficient amount of motivation, you absolutely can be one of these monsters of rock. So let's first start about what does it take and what are the commonalities between these players, between these gods. Yeah, I'm using quotes everywhere here. Well, first of all, the measurement of your godliness versus those people needs to happen at level 70. Which is not entirely kind of scientific experiment here, because I will be giving you some stats very shortly for comparison, and I will be using my stats on one of my characters at level 69, so almost close to 70. So not technically speaking 70, but I'm talking here about almost a 70 character compared to those people, just to create that very, very clear divide. So to tell you exactly the size of that gap that you need to bridge if you want to be one of those people that are skyrocketing on DPS meters and all that kind of stuff. These people, typically the top ones, top performing ones, they have most of their gear is eye level 556. That is compared to you, who will be at the very start of your kind of level 70. When you ding level 70 in Mists of Pandaria Remix, you'll be somewhere in the ballpark of, it's not even item level, it's just select few pieces that you'll be wearing. They'll be somewhere in the ballpark of 338, 340, something like this. So those people are in 556 to start with. But I am giving you here an example of one really, really dominating mage, Frost Mage, and a Havoc Demon Hunter. Couple of characters. The Havoc Demon Hunter was still kicking butt, not even having most gear at 556, but he was running, believe it or not, in quite a lot of gear that he had was 528. 528, quite a bit lower than 556, and some pieces were even in the high 300s, believe it or not, this guy had. Okay, or girl. Jewelry that these people have is in the ballpark of 332. 332 is, I think, an item level that jewelry cannot be raised further. Otherwise, I'm sure these monsters of rock and gods of Pandaria Remix, they would have absolutely lifted those item levels further. If they haven't, it means it's impossible. Stats and gems that these people commonly are, and I looked at more than just these two, trust me, commonly are opting into, are the triple boosted versatility and stamina in one gem. So versatility and stamina, mostly across the board. But I've seen quite a few, like this Frost Mage, running with Mastery plus Stamina. So boosting Mastery and versatility. I know it depends on the class, it depends on the spec, some benefit from this, some benefit from that. But I see that the raw stats like this, generally improving your performance, such as versatility and mastery, are dominating in those people. Yep. For comparison, and this is where we're coming into some rough comparison of the stats on the screen. It's completely crushing. If you see exactly what their Cloak of Infinite Potential is giving them versus what yours is currently at, and yes, this character, as I'm saying to you, the one I'm sampling of mine, it is only at level 69, but not that far from, I guess, being at 70 without too much of improvement to these stats. Even if they would be boosted a little bit, the difference to what I'm about to tell you is not going to be that massive. So when you look at a comparison with this other god character, versatility that they have is 23 times higher than mine. 23 times higher than mine. Mastery is 38 times higher. Yes, I've done my mathematics. You're welcome. Give the video a like if you appreciate it. Haste is 18 times higher. And critical chance is 31 times higher than mine. If that doesn't explain to you why they're crushing everything, I don't know what would, my friend. So stats talk in this case. Like money talks in the real world, stats talk here. These people also rely on instacast spells and attacks, whether they are melee characters or whether they are ranged characters. Because, obviously, there are other trigger-happy DPS pew-pew people running right behind them, and even if these people, if these gods of Pandaria Remix are very, very capable, they still need to get there first, fast, and they still need to shoot some of those spells before everything else dies, and they didn't get a chance to say their piece, so to speak. So reliance on instacast spells and attacks, that's how their builds are working as well. In case of this mage, for example, Frost Mage that we're showcasing front and center today, they are relying very heavily on Ice Lance, Frozen Orb and Glacial Spike. But majority of DPS doesn't come from that. Majority of DPS comes from the DPS Tinker Gems that we have rated and reviewed in a recent video as well. But that also is pretty clear when I quickly show to you what they are wearing. Okay. As far as their DPS is concerned, listen, it varies, obviously, depending on the class, depending on AoE versus not AoE. So we're not being pedantic here, but roughly to give you an idea, they are sustaining about 3 million DPS on average, regardless of the class, or with those peaking ones I'm talking, with the burst and peaks of being of about 5 million and more. 5 million DPS. That, to give you an idea, again, for funsies, the typical raid runner that I see and encounter. And again, I ran a lot of raids. I made a lot of characters in Mists of Pandaria. You can see it. Some of them are still in leveling, some of them are already level 70. Your typical raid runner who simply fits into the top 10 of the details damage meter there in the bottom right of the screen right now. That typical person, in order to just be in the spot number 9 or in the spot number 10 or in the spot number 8, pumps out about between 30 and 50,000 DPS. 30 to 50,000 DPS. You can, in your own time, that's your homework, go check against your own, but those gods, they are pumping out about 3 million sustainably. Yeah, I know, it's crazy. Now, let's talk about, or theorize, I suppose, in an educated way. It's not a very complex matter. After we know the stats, after we know what they're prioritizing, let's talk about how to get there, how to become one of those gods of Remix. Clearly, you cannot switch. You have to get to level 70 without switching to any alts. That goes without saying, but it's pretty important to call out straight away. Invest time into one particular character who you want to turn into a god of Remix. Second, you have to have high DPS Tinker Gems, which again goes without saying, but you will be investing less into shielding, self-healing, other kind of stuff, all those humanitarian purposes, so to speak. Instead of that, you're going to be dishing out as much damage as possible. Yeah, we reviewed those gems. If you want some inspiration, if you want my own subjective rating of which ones are good, which ones are bad, take a look at that video. It's very recent on my channel. Point number 3 is that you would need to save your bronze for gear updates. Pretty obvious, that's how you reach such high item level. You would need to progressively update your items, and there will be a ton of bronze that you will need to invest before you can get anywhere near item level 500. So don't buy cosmetics, don't buy mounts if you haven't bought them all yet. Well, it's a priority. It's a call of priority for you, but you will need to invest into those gear updates. Point number 4 is check the builds. I'm going to even share with you the builds that I snatched from these gods, the ones that we are showcasing today, in case you need some for inspiration. But I genuinely don't think that the build is make it or break it here, because the game is already sort of very rigged and very broken, sort of leaning towards this high output of damage and performance overall. That comes purely from the bloated stats, from insanely bloated stats that the cloak is giving you. It's purely time investment. Build is important, but I'd say it's like a really low priority. Yeah. And the 5th one is obviously learn to play. I'm kidding, honestly. It again goes into, yes, you need to learn to play in terms of understanding just how this madness works in Mists of Pandaria Remix. You need to be there first. You need to use instant spells. You need to get off all those shots that are high reward, like basically massive yield of the benefit for you in a very short amount of time. Because if you're simply late to that party, or if you have something massive that hits very, very hard, but at the same time takes 2-3 seconds to fire, you're going to be too late. You're going to be too late. All that DPS, all that glory is going to be snatched by other gods of Pandaria Remix. I hope you found this somewhat educational and maybe entertaining, because we are at the very least giving center stage to these people who have invested a lot of time, and they're certainly not switching between the alts like we do, like I do. I enjoyed putting this together quickly for you. I hope you enjoyed watching it. If you did, please give it a quick like so that more people can see it, more people are attracted to our little casual club of Mists of Pandaria runners and World of Warcraft casual players, and I'll talk to you next week about something else, most likely World of Warcraft related. Goodbye for now, have a nice day.